What's good, y'all? I am Lonnie Appleton. I am a healthy family advocate, which means I advocate for the health and restoration of our families, acknowledging that there's some work to do, acknowledging that our home life and our family dynamic isn't the best that we can do for ourselves, and we can do better, in offering tips and tricks, just a different perspective of how to do that. I've never seen anyone reprogram or restructure their family, so I'm the first one, far as I'm concerned, and with that, I'm making it up as I go, but at least we're trying, right? Me and my husband go back and forth all the time because he identifies that there's a problem. Yes, there's a problem. We all identify that there is a problem. But how many people are actually focused on solution? You know? Think about all the loud talking people in our community, all the people that you pay attention to. How many of those are actually focused on the solutions? We are definitely focused on solutions over here. So if you're not following the content, make sure you're following us across all platforms as the apple turns. Check out all platforms and just type that in and you'll find us. If you don't, we're not on that platform. But for the most major ones, we are there. I am here to read the Bible every day, Monday through Saturday, 12 p.m. noon Mountain Standard Time. It is presently 12:07, so 7 minutes ago. Whatever time that is for you, I read it if I am permitted, because sometimes I have things to do. Otherwise, I'm here and I repost all lives on YouTube, Lonnie Appleton Live, LONEEAPPLETONLIVE on YouTube. So you can always catch all Bible studies reposted there. May not be an immediate repost, but they all get reposted there, as well as all my other lives. Check out all my other lives because they're very informative. Just dropping gems left and right. You know, if you're looking for wisdom, something to listen to at the end of your day, at the beginning of your day, something positive, something thought-provoking, things to get conversation started in your own life, definitely check out my lives. We are in the book of Leviticus. We are reading chapter 26, and I'm reading from the perspective of what's behind this cover, and this cover, and in these pages. I'm not reading from any prior knowledge or any other reference points. I'm not here to argue the validity of the Bible. I'm not here to do anything but read the Bible and ask questions and figure out how what I receive to be true and useful from this book, how I can implement it in my life. I was told to do it on live by Spirit, and I'm doing it on live so that those of us who are in the spiritual community, who walked away from this book simply because of its pervasive association with certain religions, we have a chance to explore this book collectively and now start figuring out how we can utilize it. I got kids in the front making noise. I got a neighbor who's addicted to blowing leaves. So pretty much for this entire hour, he's probably going to be blowing these leaves. He's already been blowing them for an hour now. He is addicted to this leaf blower. And we had a conversation, and he told me he's been blowing them leaves for over 30 years. Not those particular leaves, but he's had that leaf blower for over 30 years. So it's a thing for him. So we're going to, work around it. Chapter 26, Reward for Obedience. I am presently being obedient, so I'm curious what these rewards are and what those translate for me in present day. Really excited about this chapter. Do not make idols or set up an image or a sacred stone for yourselves, and do not place a carved stone in your land to bow down before it. I am the Lord your God. Observe my Sabbath in your reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, I will send you rain in its season, and the ground will yield its crops and the trees their fruit. Your threshing will continue until grape harvest, and the grape harvest will continue until planting. And you will eat all the foods you want and live in safety in your land. So pretty much as long as you rock with God, God rocks with you. But God is very particular. There are laws. This whole world is governed by laws. You have to understand the law. Gravity is a law. If one thing is out of place, it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? So us as scientists and mathematicians, we must figure out whatever it is that we are creating in our reality. We have to figure out the exact combination because it's exact. Do you understand things aren't materializing in your world? Change is not transpiring in your world because you are only trying one way. Well, there's infinite different possibilities, and we can cut that number of infinite down to the possibilities that can be used by us through connectivity with higher source, which means we must get closer into our intuition in order to hear from God so that we can cut down all the infinite possibilities. But definitely, if you are living and governing your life according to one set of rules that was probably transferred down to you from your parents who were governed by one set of rules, which was transferred from their parents who were governed from one set of rules, which was transferred from the slave masters. I know we're several more generations away, but get the point. We are governing our life in accordance to a set of rules that were created to control us. So first we must break our minds free and understand that if our life isn't producing the fruits that God has promised us for obedience, is because we are not being obedient. And obedience is actually figuring out how to live this life, not continue to be controlled by this life that they created for us to be controlled by. I will grant peace. Please shut my door. Just stay out of my room. You have a bathroom. You have everything available to you outside of my room. So just don't come in here. You're on the wrong side of the door. Please go to the other side of the door and shut it. Thank you. I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down, and no one will make you afraid. I will remove wild beasts from the land, and the sword will not pass through your country. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall by the sword before you. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000, and your enemies will fall by the sword before you. So that's where it says, no enemy formed against me shall prosper. God is saying, as long as you move within your calling, within your divinity, I got you, you're protected. Which is good for me because I used to be addicted to true crime, and because of that addiction and being raised by a mother who was, always planting seeds of fear in me, I have a sense of awareness, but some of that in my life has, manifested as paranoia. I'm overly aware, which I don't know if that's possible, but it's possible. And so it's really good and comforting to read that, God got you, especially doing the work that I'm doing. I'm protected. As long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm doing God's work, I'm shielded. And when my time comes because it was my time, not because I wasn't shielded. I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. You will still be eating last year's harvest when you will have to move it out to make room for the new. Amen. Abundance, 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 and overflow. I will put my dwelling place among you, and I will not abhor you. I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt so that you will no longer be slaves to the Egyptians. I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with your heads held high. There is no coincidence. There's multiple things that are happening here. There is no coincidence that like a year or so ago, me and my husband were joking around, and I was like, what? We always talk about, thank you for the love. We always talk about the same 3 subjects. And one of those 3 subjects that me and my husband always talk about is slavery. Like, no matter what jokes we're telling, somehow there's a slave joke that gets thrown in there, and that was the first realization that slavery, the seed of slavery, was planted, right? Things have to come to us from a familiar place. So if, sitting and watching the slavery documentary, that's not going to necessarily appeal to me and come into my it's not warm and fuzzy enough for me. But it being presented in a joking way, okay, now it's palatable and now I can receive it. Not here nor there. Just the point is, slavery was put on my mind. And now, a couple months back, if that, I don't know, but a couple months back, I woke up to the realization that we are still slaves. They went from physical chains, and this is going to be the message, and it aligns with the Israelites, right? So again, that's jumping ahead, but I woke up to the fact that we're still enslaved. They went from physical chains to mental change, mental bondage. The Civil War was a moneymaker. It really wasn't to end slavery in America. It was just to transition it, make some money, and to go from physical chains to mental chains. And actually, while we were in the physical chains, they were doing the work to do the mental slavery. So understand that they've always had brilliant minds, brilliant melanated minds within their folds, those willing to take something, some sort of whatever, in order to sell out their people. So they know how to manipulate us, because we are willing to be manipulated into showing them how to manipulate us. Manipulation, selling your soul. So we are still slaves. And I'm here to help wake us up. Okay? So now, me and my husband are always talking about slaveries. I'm woken up to the fact that we're still slaves. And now I'm reading the Bible at a time where it's really fucking evident. Hopefully it's evident to you. And since Exodus, we have been talking about slavery. We are in Leviticus. We are on page 108. And we are talking about being slaves. And so God is telling me, and this is why God has me reading this Bible, among many reasons. God has me reading this Bible because I am here to free you. I am here to wake you up. If you are aware enough to know that you are in slavery and in bondage, yeah, I'm going to go there too. You're in bondage. And if you wake up to that, some of y'all won't even tap into your intuition. You're so scared to tap into your intuition because this book tells you not to. Because whoever stood in that pulpit, the puppet on the string that was told you, goes by the name pastor, who told you you need to stay away from your intuition because that is the devil. Using this book, and don't question God. Using this book to tell you that tapping into your intuition and seeking God for yourself is of the devil. You're closed off. So you're going to remain in a slave state until you're willing to wake up and know what the fuck is going on. And that's what we're here for. God is saying, I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with your heads held high. Y'all think just because they letting you get money off the backs of the deaths of your own people, the destruction of your own people, that's God? If how you are getting your money is the destruction of your own kind, that's not a blessing. That is a curse that you are casting on your own people. And there's a place for everything, but you need to live in balance. Punishment for disobedience. But if you will not listen to me and carry out all these commands, and if you reject my decrees and abhor my laws, and fail to carry out all my commands, and so violate my covenant, then I will do this to you. I will bring on you sudden terror, wasting diseases, and fever that will destroy your sight and sap your strength. Dang. You will plant seed in vain because your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you so that you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will flee even when no one is pursuing you. So pretty much if you're out here doing what you think you're supposed to be doing, but you are yielding zero fruit. Now understand, fruit isn't just monetary. Fruit isn't just all these things in the physical world. Fruit is your personal growth. If you are not evolving and changing, but you are putting that energy out there, understand that what you are doing is not of God. Even if it feels good, it's not of God. It is not being blessed because it is not in obedience. And it's for you to discern what areas of your life are not progressing forward for you. whatever progression looks like for you. I have identified what progression looks like for me. So if I am doing something, and yeah, I'm making these videos and nobody's sitting on my lives and nobody's watching my videos, okay, that's cool. But am I progressing? Because the progression can't be outside of me always. If I focus on the outside world, I would quit life, period, because the outside world hasn't shown up for me ever. But my internal world is growing, and that is what's showing up for me. And because that is the progress that I am focused on, growing myself to my highest potential, and knowing once I reach that place of highest potential that is pleasing to my God in divine alignment, I know that I will be fruitful. Why? Because it was promised to me. Why? Because it was promised to me. So not only do I know, but I know why I'm here. And I know what I'm doing. And I know that it is yielding fruit internally. And I must do the internal work in order to receive the fruit externally. If you are receiving the fruit externally, but you have not done the internal weeding and whatever it is, I don't know the language of gardening, but tilling your field inside and getting yourself right to be able to actually live in the fullness and the richness of the fruit from the outside, that is not God. God will never bless you. I'm not going to say never because I don't know God, but God probably will not bless you outside in. God's blessings definitely, I'm going to stand on this, God's blessings definitely will come from the inside out, because anything that would be considered a blessing is an elevation. And in order for you to be elevated, you must be prepared. Just like you are prepared for the season you're in presently, you must be prepared for the season that you would like to be elevated to. And God will not elevate you if you are not prepared, because any blessing that is not prepared for is a curse, and God will not set you up for failure. So you have to pay attention to, have you been receiving what you've been praying for? You're receiving it. Guess what? The devil hears your prayers too. So if you're receiving what you've been praying for, but you haven't been doing the inner tilling of your garden in order to yield the fruit that you're now receiving externally, pay attention. That might not be a blessing. If after all this you will not listen to me, I will punish you for your sins 7 times over. I will break down your stubborn pride and make the sky above you like iron and the ground beneath you like bronze. Your strength will be spent in vain because your soil will not yield its crops, nor will the trees of your land yield their fruit. I posted a video right before I got on today, not right before, but today, talking about divine alignment. My content's not being pushed for some reason, but that's okay. But what I want to say is, I'm talking about this. Check it out, it's a dope video. If you remain hostile towards me and refuse to listen to me, I will multiply your affliction 7 times over, as your sins deserve. I will send wild animals against you, and they will rob you of your children, destroy your cattle, and make you so few in number that your roads will be deserted. It is in spite of these things you do not accept my correction. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. If, in spite of these things, you do not accept my correction, but continue to be hostile towards me, I myself will be hostile towards you and will afflict you for your sins 7 times over, and I will bring the sword on you to avenge the breaking of the covenant. When you withdraw into your cities, I will send a plague among you, and you will be given into enemies' hands. When I cut off your supply of bread, 10 women will be able to bake your bread in one oven, and they will dole out the bread by weight. You will eat, but you will not be satisfied. What I receive from that is, please just shut the door. No, please stay out. Just put the keys down and get out. Kaden, please leave. Kaden. Okay, you can wash your face and then leave my room, okay? Thank you. What I'm receiving from this is, you know how when God You know how when you just can't catch a break in life? You just can't catch a break. God is trying to get your attention. I'm sorry, my kids disrupted me from my thought process. No matter what you do, things aren't breaking open. Now there's a difference. Hey, Kendra, there's a difference here. Because there's a difference between a breakdown and a restructuring, right? Breaking down and restructuring and rebuilding. It looks the same as okay. Thank you. Please shut my door. Will you lock my door and shut it? Yeah. It's building and building. Okay, thank you. All right. So there's two things happening here. One is when you are being obedient. When you are being obedient, that which you have created out of obedience will be destroyed. So those of us who are doing the work and we're like, my life is falling apart. What the heck? I'm doing what God asked me to do. Why is everything going wrong? Everything going wrong. No, for the first time, everything is going right because you are moving within obedience. But the life that you created prior to obedience must be destroyed so that the life within obedience can be restructured. So the vast majority of us, especially in the Black community or the melanated community, we have created lives that the whole world, but I'm talking to my peers. He doesn't feel well, and his siblings don't have the capacity to treat him with compassion. They're going to treat him with the same aggression that they have always treated each other until this restructuring has began. And it's difficult for me to switch how my children treat each other when half of the family is on board to discontinue a particular behavior and the other half of the family is still caught in the behavior, as well as it taking hold into the psychology of a 4 and a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old. So you're going to hear a lot of yelling in the background because Caden doesn't feel well, and his not feel well is manifesting in aggression. Anyway, so there's two different stuff's not happening going on. We've addressed when you are on path and doing the work and now walking in obedience and your whole life just goes to crap, which is what's happening to me. My whole life just went to crap because I am being broken down and restructured. I cannot represent God at the level that God has chosen me to represent them in brokenness, which means every single thing of my life that has not been in alignment, being as I'm a healthy family advocate, right? I'm here to advocate for the restoration of our family. I am here to help us melanated people finally get back to where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? To hit reset. They taught us to hate ourselves but love their wealth. That's what I'm here for. But in order for me to do this, my entire life has to fall because everything that I had built was based off of disobedience, based off of their structure, their programming. And now that I'm reprogramming my life, everything that I built has to be destroyed. And with that knowledge, I'm okay with it. I'm not mad at the repo man. I actually called him. Come get this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at anything that is being removed from me, any people that are being removed from me. None of that. Why? Because I know that this is the breakdown to rebuild on a solid foundation. Now, what God is talking about here is when you are moving in disobedience and you are like, a lot of you guys went through this in 2023, and this is this discernment. In 2023, did you do the work? Were you doing the work? Were you learning the lessons? Were you healing through it? If you truly were healing through it, you know that you were healing through it because you no longer experience those things that you were healing through. Do you understand that healing actually has a healed point? ing turns to ed. Now you are always going to be, ing. That is you reaching your highest potential. Who knows what that is? It's infinite, right? But particular things that you are working through can reach ed, healed. So if you were healing and you are healed and you're actually doing work or spinning your wheels, because a lot of what is being presented to you all as healing is just another trap, right? Don't ask me how my day is going. My day is going great, period. I don't have bad days anymore. I may have a moment of discouragement, but Spirit pulls up immediately and confirms for me the video I just published about Tabitha Brown and how we lined up. But, Spirit's always going to pull up and say, stop that stinking thinking. And the goal is to be 100% cool. I'm at 99%, but I received less than that previously. You understand, if you were putting seeds in the ground and doing the work in 2023, that was the restructuring. But if you went through 2023 and you were just like, I cannot catch a break, God is going to continue to remove things from you and knock you on your head and poke you in your chest until you wake the fuck up, period. That's what God's going to do, because every single one of you are the chosen one. You were chosen. You were born for a specific reason. I was in class last week and I told Shifu, I was just like, and everybody in class, because my teacher has a picture of his mother in the bathroom. And I was looking at her while I was washing my hands. And I was thinking about my teacher. And I was like, dang, you gave birth to that. And then I looked myself in the mirror and I was like, dang, Mom, you gave birth to this. And you should look at yourself in the mirror and think about your greatness and who you are. And your mama gave birth to greatness. You are the chosen one. So if you are the chosen one and you are finally waking up to your greatness, God gonna keep banging you over the head. God gonna keep making you uncomfortable because you're not being obedient. So as your life keeps getting worse, and if you're doing the work, you're healing through it, and you eventually reach the space of healed through particular things. Like, I don't yell anymore. I used to be a yeller. And people would tell me, stop yelling, stop being aggressive, stop doing these things. And it didn't resonate until Caden, the one that's yelling, I was like, dang, why does he keep yelling? And Angel, my 11-year-old, so if you think you can't learn from your kids, you hustling backwards because they are your biggest mirror. Literally spend every day of their lives with you, and you're reflecting back. They're reflecting you back to you. So if you're not learning from your kids, you are cutting off a whole classroom for yourself. Angel, my 11-year-old, said he yells like that because all you and Dad do is yell. And I was like, I guess I'm done yelling. I am healed. Now, is there a time where I yell? Of course. I'm not perfect. I'm human. I have free will. I have choice. But it went from 90% yelling, 10%, and these are just percentages, 90% yelling, 10% being calm, to 90% being calm, 10% yelling, and I know that I could get to 100%. I just don't yell anymore. So you have to pay attention to, is the hardships that you're experiencing divinity? You're doing the work, restructuring? Or is it God tapping you on your damn forehead saying, wake the fuck up? You got to discern. If you need help, I am a coach. Check out my services. If in spite of this, you will still do not... Okay, it started the same. If in spite of this, you still do not listen to me, but continue to be hostile towards me, then in my anger I will be hostile towards you, and I myself will punish you for your sins 7 times over. You will eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. I don't even know what that means. Yesterday we were talking about sacrificing children, and now we're eating flesh, so I don't know what that means. I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and pile your dead bodies on the lifeless forms of your idols. God dang. And I will abhor you. I will turn your cities into ruins and lay waste your sanctuaries. And I will take no delight in the pleasing aroma of your offerings. I myself will lay waste the land so that your enemies who live there will be appalled. I will scatter you among the nations and will draw out my sword and pursue you. Your land will be laid waste and your cities will lie to ruins. You have to think that this book was written to control one population and to educate another population. So you have to understand, yes, this book is full of lies, but it's also full of truths, and it's for you to use your spirit of discernment to figure out, is this manipulation or is this information? And right now what I'm reading, I see all the manipulation, but I'm also pulling out the information. So that is the brilliance of our minds. And that is what we have been tricked out of believing and to know that is true on all sides. Those of us who refuse to even touch this book because it's full of lies. Well, you're missing out on the truth because they got to educate their own too. They got to somehow trick us into first not even reading this book. And then if we read it, reading it from a literal standpoint, you're like, oh, this is lies. Throw it. No, but there's some truth in here because guess what? This book is coded with all kinds of messages. And there's all kinds of messages I won't even receive until I go figure out some more knowledge to come back into this book. But what I'm receiving right now is, this book was created to control a population, but also was created to empower a population. And we're using it for empowerment. What I just read right there, I was just like, well, this is spitting some hot fire. But it's also talking crazy. Why? Why is this double messaged? Why does this double meaning? Because it's meant to control as well as to educate. Will scatter you among the nations and will draw out my sword and pursue you. Your land will be laid waste and your cities will lie in ruins. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbath year all the time that it lies desolate, and you are in the country of your enemies. Then the land will rest and enjoy its Sabbaths. All the time that it lies desolate, the land will have the rest it did not have during the Sabbath you lived in it. As for those of you who are left, I will make their hearts so fearful in the lands of their enemies that the sound of the wind-blown leaf will put them to flight. They will run as though fleeing from the sword, and they will fall even though no one is pursuing them. They will stumble over one another as though fleeing from the sword, even though no one is pursuing them. So you will not be able to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations. The land of your enemies will devour you. Those of you who are left will waste away in the lands of their enemies because of their sins. Also because of their ancestors' sins, they will waste away. But you also have to know, because of the sins of your ancestors, you will waste away, but because of the good deeds and the blessings, we love a praying grandmother. Know that our ancestors put in work. Our ancestors put in work in this physical world. Our ancestors put in work in our spiritual world. So yes, the work of our ancestors can hold us back, but translation, if we could think in the positive, the work of our ancestors can propel us forward. So when we sit here and we talking to our ancestors, lean on their strength, call on their strength, call on their wisdom as you navigate this life. Our ancestors are not for naught. You are someone's ancestors. So you owe it to yourself, especially in this month of Black History, to build yourself up to your highest possible potential. Why? Because your children are watching you. How can you take your child to their highest possible potential if you are not taking yourself to your highest possible potential? Who are they learning from? You are the streets. And if you are limiting yourself, you already opening up your child to be raised by the streets, because you can only take them so far. And if your kid is curious beyond what you're able to give them, what you're capable to give them, they must go outside of you. And do you truly want outside sources teaching your kid, unless you have taught your child how to use their spirit of discernment, which is what this content is all about? So if you are not following the community, get connected with the community and truly start healing you and your family and growing you and your family to your highest potential. But if they will confess their sins and the sins of their ancestors, their unfaithfulness and their hostility towards me, which made me hostile towards them, so that I sent them into the land of their enemies, then when their uncircumcised hearts are humbled, and they pay for their sin, I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and my covenant with Isaac, and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land, for the land will be deserted by them, and will enjoy the Sabbath while it lies desolate without them. They will pay for their sins because they rejected my laws and abhorred my decrees. Yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them so as to destroy them completely, breaking my covenant with them. I am the Lord their God, but for their sake I will remember the covenant with their ancestors, whom I brought out of Egypt in the sight of the nations to be their God. I am the Lord, and for that reason honor your ancestors. Your ancestors put in work on your behalf. While you are in your sleep state, your slave state, that's cool, because your ancestors put in work for you. Honor your ancestors, whatever that looks like. These are the decrees, the laws, and the regulations that the Lord established at Mount Sinai between himself and the Israelites through Moses. Chapter 27, Redeeming what is the Lord's. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, If anyone makes a special vow to dedicate a person to the Lord by giving the equivalent value, set the value of a male between the ages of 20 and 60 at 50. This is the last page of Leviticus, y'all. Shekels of silver according to the sanctuary shekel. For a female, set her value at 30 shekels. For a person between the ages of 5 and 20, set the value of the male at 20 shekels, and if a female at 10 shekels, and of a female at 10 shekels. For a person between 1 month and 5 years, set the value of a male at 5 shekels of silver, and that of a female at 3 shekels of silver. You see how they're undervaluing females just off top? Like, the seed is planted for the female to be undervalued. The female had been undervalued and overlooked and not even mentioned since Genesis. Like, and we wonder why our society is like you, but we're the most powerful beings walking this earth. The black females are the most oppressed simply because we are the most powerful. And we cannot wake up to that. The day we wake up to our power, my God, the whole structure's gonna overturn. Hey, her hands. Set the value of a male at 15 shekels and of a female at 10 shekels. If anyone making the vow is too poor to pay the specified amount, the person being dedicated is to be presented to the priest, who will set the value according to what the one making the vow can afford. If what they vowed is an animal that is acceptable as an offering to the Lord, such as an animal given to the Lord becomes holy, they must not exchange it or substitute a good one for a bad one, or a bad one for a good one. If they should substitute one animal for another, both it and the substitute become holy. If what they vowed is a ceremonially unclean animal, one that is not acceptable as an offering to the Lord, the animal must be presented to the priest, who will judge its quality as good or bad. Whatever value the priest then sets, that is what it will be. If the owner wishes to redeem the animal, a fifth must be added to its value. Thank you for the love, friend. If anyone dedicates their house as something holy to the Lord, the priest will judge its quality as good or bad. Whatever value the priest then sets, so it will remain. If the one who dedicates their house wishes to redeem it, they must add a fifth to its value, and the house again will become theirs. If anyone dedicates to the Lord part of their family's land, its value is to be set according to the amount of seed required for it. 50 shekels of silver to a homer of barley seed. If they dedicate a field during the year of Jubilee, the value that has been set remains. But if they dedicate a field after the Jubilee, the priest will determine the value according to the number of years that remain until the next year of Jubilee, and its set value will be reduced. If the one who dedicates the field wishes to redeem it, they must add a fifth to its value, and the field will again become theirs. If, however, they do not redeem the field, or if they have sold it to someone else, it can never be redeemed. When the field is released in the Jubilee, it will become holy, like a field devoted to the Lord. It will become priestly property. If anyone dedicates to the Lord a field that they have bought, which is not part of their family land, the priest will determine its value up to the year of Jubilee, and the owner must pay its value on that day as something holy to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee, the field will revert to the person from whom it was brought, the one whose land it was. Every value is to be set according to the sanctuary shekel, 20 gerahs to the shekel. No one, however, may dedicate the firstborn of an animal, since the firstborn already belongs to the Lord, whether an ox or a sheep. It is the Lord's. If it is one of the unclean animals, it may be brought back at its set value, adding a fifth of the value to it. If it is not redeemed, it is to be sold at its set value. But nothing that person owns and devotes to the Lord, whether a human being or an animal or a family land, may be sold or redeemed. Everything so devoted is most holy to the Lord. No person devoted to destruction may be ransomed. They are to be put to death. A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. A tithe, yes, there's a tithe. It is holy to their tithe, must add a fifth. Belong to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. Whoever would redeem any of their tithe must add a fifth of the value to it. Every tithe of the herd and flock, every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod will be holy to the Lord. No one may pick out the good from the bad or make any substitution. If anyone does make a substitution, both the animal and its substitution become holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commands the Lord gave Moses at Mount Sinai for the Israelites. And we have finished Leviticus. Yes, we have finished Leviticus, Exodus, and Genesis. Like, I am super proud of us. Let's go with the pat on the back because we did that. Yes. Numbers. Let's keep going. Because remember, we got 40 pages to get through. We got 110. We got 30 more pages to get through before we get to something. Let's see what let's see what Numbers is talking about. But I'm really proud of us. Celebrate every victory. Like, I don't know, I ain't ever sat up and read the Bible like I'm reading it. Like, I say this all the time, but I'm going to continue to say it. Like, I'm going to continue to celebrate myself. My daughter was like, can you get some new stories to tell? I was like, but my history's my history. You know my history's real because I keep telling the same stories. I'm moving all of my content over to YouTube, so make sure you're following As the Apple Turns on YouTube. Make sure if you're missing any of the lives, check them out, Lonnie Appleton Live on YouTube. But as I'm moving my videos over to YouTube, I'm like, oh, I told this story already. Well, I'm telling the story again, chances are from a different perspective, adding different details depending on why I'm retelling the story. But the fact that I'm telling the same stories must mean I'm telling the truth, right? So it's okay to retell the stories. It's okay to use your history to make sense of your present. So stop looking for new stories to tell and start looking for the whole life that you have lived up to this point to have meaning. So much meaning that you can continue to derive from it. I can pull from my childhood. I can pull from 40 years of being on this earth from where my memories start. I can pull lessons from all of it, and so can you. With that said, Numbers. Chapter 1, the census. The Lord spoke to Moses in the tent of meeting in the desert of Sinai on the first day of the second month of the second year after the Israelites came out of Egypt. He said, take a census of the whole Israelite community by their clans and families, listing every man by name one by one. You and Aaron are to count according to their divisions all the men in Israel who are 20 years old or more and able to serve in the army. There it goes. One man from each tribe, each of them the head of his family, is to help you. These are the names of the men who are to assist you. Now let's have this conversation because I was talking, Shifu was talking, and what we're learning is we're learning how to protect ourselves, and warfare starts here first. You have to understand that your mind has always been under warfare. Everybody's like, oh, we're gonna go to war. We've been in war. No, we're not going to go anywhere. It has been warfare this entire time. They've had your mind. But we all should be prepared to fight. We all should be conditioning our minds, our hearts, our power, our bodies to fight, to defend, to protect our families. If you chose to lay up and have and create a family, you must choose to protect them, and to rise them to their highest potential, which means you must rise to your highest potential in all aspects of life. This imbalance bullshit ends the last time you accepted imbalance in your life. Now, being imbalanced and accepting imbalance are two different things. I don't accept imbalance in my life, but I'm currently imbalanced because I'm doing the work to balance out the scales. The moment you wake up to the fact that you can be balanced doesn't mean everything balances out. No, it means now the work starts because you've been living in balance for X amount of years. You got to tear all that up and start balancing the scales out. Mayat. From Reuben, Eliezer, son of Shedor. From Simon, Shelumiel, son of Zuri, Shaddai. From Judah, y'all know I can't read these names, Nashan, son of Adab. This just reminds me of those videos that they put out when the teacher's taking roll and the teacher can't read the names. The teacher that can't read the names. From Ezekar, Nathaniel, son of Zor. From Zebulun, Eliab, son of Helon. From the sons of Joseph. From Ephraim, Elishama, son of Ammihud. From Manasseh, Gabalil, son of Pedazar. From Benjamin, Abidan, son of Gideoni. Benjamin gave birth to some kids too. From Dan, Hezer, son of Amisha. Oh my gosh. Do I gotta read all this? Be obedient. Die. From Asher, Pagal, son of Ochran. From Gad, Elisaph, son of Duel. From Naphtali, Hara, son of Enan. You see how they ain't mentioning no females? These were the men appointed from the community, the leaders of their ancestral tribes. They were the heads of the clans of Israel. Moses and Aaron took these men whose names had been specified, and they called the whole community together on the first day of the second month. So with these men in charge, it's not who is capable to lead, it's who has a penis. The people registered their ancestry by their clan and families, and the men 20 years old or more were listed by name one by one, as the Lord commanded Moses, and so he counted them in the desert of Sinai. From the descendants of Reuben, the firstborn son of Israel. Y'all remember Reuben? Reuben is one of Leah's boys. All the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name one by one according to the records of their clans and families. The numbers from the tribe of Reuben was 46,500. From the descendants of Simeon, which I believe Simeon was Jacob's son. Joseph, Isaac, Abraham, Isaac, Joseph, Jacob. Simeon is Joseph's kid. All the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were counted and listed by name one by one according to the records of their clans and families. The numbers from the tribe of Simeon was 59,300. From descendants of Gad, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Gad was 45,650. From the descendants of Judah, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Judah was 74,600. From descendants of Issachar, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and their families. The number from the tribe of Issachar was 54,400. From the descendants of Zebulun, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Zebulun were 57,400. From the sons of Joseph, was it Joseph or Jacob? I don't know. I always mix the names up. From the descendants of Ephraim, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army who were listed by name according to the record of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Ephraim was 40,500. From the descendants of Manasseh, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The numbers from the tribe of Manasseh was 32,200. From the descendants of Benjamin, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army who were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Benjamin was 35,400. From the descendants of Dan, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Dan was 62,700. From the descendants of Asher, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribe of Asher was 41,500. According to the descendants of Naphtali, all the men 20 years old or more who were able to serve in the army were listed by name according to the records of their clans and families. The number from the tribes of Naphtali were 53,400. These were the men counted by Moses and Aaron and the 12 leaders of Israel, each one representing his family. All the Israelites 20 years old or more who were able to serve in Israel's army were counted according to their families. The total number was 603,550. The ancestral tribe of the Levites, however, was not counted along with the others. The Lord had said to Moses, "You must not count the tribe of Levi or include them in the census of the other Israelites. Instead, appoint the Levites to be in charge of the tabernacle of the covenant law, over all its furnishings and everything belonging to it. They are to carry the tabernacle and all its furnishings. They are to take care of it and encamp around it. Whenever the tabernacle is to be moved, the Levites are to take it down, and whenever the tabernacle is to be set up, the Levites shall do it. Anyone else who approaches it is to be put to death. The Israelites are to set up their tents by divisions, each of them in their own camp under their standard. Under their standard. It's very personal. The Levites, however, are to set up their tents around the tabernacle of the covenant law so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelite community. The Levites are to be responsible for the care of the tabernacle of the covenant law. The Israelites did all this just as the Lord commanded Moses. Tomorrow we will read the arrangement of the tribal camps, chapter 2. We've got some good information from today's reading. Hopefully you found some good journal points. The way that we read the Bible is that we read for understanding so that we can internalize what can be used for our life. We are scientists, which means we are not taking everything at face value. It means we are analyzing everything, and we are taking in and letting the seeds be planted and we are making confirmations for things that we've been contemplating, and we're using what we can. Think about when you're eating a piece of meat. You don't eat the whole thing. Think about when you're eating an apple. I eat the whole thing, but you don't eat the whole thing. Let's say an orange. You take off the parts that you don't want. And some of us, when we're eating, like somebody's eating a chicken wing, everybody eats chicken wings different. Some people leave a lot of meat on it. Some people take it down to the bone. Some people only eat. Everybody's way of eating a chicken wing is different. Everyone's way of consuming something is different. So you can't take everything as is at face value, because what someone is saying, this is important, this is the message. I'm relaying what is valuable to me. And you're like, I relate to this, so I must take everything in. No, just take in what is for you and throw the rest away. I'm Lonnie Appleton. I am a healthy family advocate. I advocate for the health, the wellness, and the restoration of our families. You can get to know me here on my content. So if you're not dialed in, dial in. As the Apple turns across all social media platforms, Lonnie Appleton Live on YouTube is where I repost my Bible studies as well as my lives. You can support the community that supports you by donating to the Cash App Lonnie Appleton, LONEEAPPLETON. Link in bio. If you would like something for your monetary exchange, you can always shop the merch. I have dope merch that features my art as well as popular sayings that we utilize here in our community. I have books if you're a reader. I have one that is urban fiction, and I also have one that is going to be in the self-help healing category. It documents my awakening, actual tools that I use to wake myself up, because I woke myself up. And I can teach you indirectly through the book, What's the Best That Can Happen, available on Amazon. Just make sure the seller is Lonnie Taylor, or directly through my coaching services. I am a coach, I am a mentor, I am certified life and relationship coach. I also am a channel, so I'm able to connect to higher consciousness and deliver messages from higher consciousness. I do what I refer to as energy worksheets as well as higher consciousness downloads. You can check out all of those things on my website, LonnieLifestyle.com. At the very least, hit the follow button and join the community and get yourself into this community. I am moving my videos from 2023 over to YouTube as the apple turns. So you're able to actually go back into the history and watch the older videos. And you can see my personal evolution over on YouTube. So you don't have to dig through thousands of videos to get to it. Just go over to YouTube, because I'm starting to repost all of our videos over there. So now it's a fresh 2024. I only got to click here versus digging all the way through. And the crazy thing about what I'm watching and what I'm saying out of my mouth and what my family is going through in February, or the world is going through in February 2023, is dang near parallel to what we're experiencing in 2024. The same conversations. I just posted a video, or I just downloaded a video to be reposted over on YouTube, where I'm talking about every year before our anniversary, me and my husband have a drop down, drag out argument. And here we are approaching our anniversary, and we ain't even really talking to each other. This has been the cycle in our relationship. I'm aware, and I'm willing to break the cycle. But because this cycle has two people, both people have to be aware enough to break the cycle. So you have to understand, as you're going through your healing journey, and your healing journey involves other people, you can do as much work as you can, but that's where the prayer comes in. That's where the telepathy comes in. That's why you must develop yourself. Because as long as you keep working on yourself, your spouse may be willing, your children may be willing, or they may not be. And you can't force them, because that's only going to cause more resistance. Please stop. It's going to cause more resistance. But when you get into that prayer space and you connect to that higher consciousness and you connect to God and you say, God, I need you to do a work. You see what we're doing over here. You see I'm restructuring and I'm realigning with you. Do what's necessary to take place. Whatever your prayer is, I just made that up. And you're starting to move in your divinity. Your spouse is gonna move or your spouse isn't. I don't know. I don't know how deep and stuck in rigor. Literally, we are the walking dead. We're the walking dead. Well, not me. I'm out of it. But, the vast majority of us are the walking dead. And we are caught in atrophy, rigor mortis, and our brains are dead. We don't use our brains. Guaranteed, if your consciousness or your brain, if you could pop your brain out and put it on the mantle and go live your day, I bet you could. Because you do the same thing, think the same thoughts, eat the same food, move the same way, talk to the same people, had the same conversations. I literally am publishing videos having the exact same conversations that I had a year ago in February. This is wild. Because we're brain dead. Let's pick that brain up, put it back in our head, and let's start using it. All right? Tomorrow is Sunday. I don't do Bible study. So you guys have a beautiful Sunday. Monday, I will be here at noon, Mountain Standard Time. It is presently 1:06. So an hour and 6 minutes ago, whatever time that was for you, I go live and I read the Bible. Celebrate the fact that we made it through Leviticus and we are now into Numbers. And we are going to continue to read until we get to Revelations. Yes, I'm really excited. And thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.